Here at Possible, we've been talking a lot about commerce, a lot about AI, lots going on.
Yep.
Commerce is being really part of the whole media mix, an omnichannel scenario. Like, how do you see it developing, and what's exciting to you in terms of commerce?
It's such a multifaceted topic now. You know, it's not just person walks into store and buys things. And so in advertising, it's also really super multifaceted. So you have the kind of dynamic of retail media where brands are finding ways to get closer to consumers in that path to purchase via retail media networks. You also have a whole dynamic around shoppable advertising. So essentially commerce coming to advertising and making shoppability possible kind of everywhere. And that's happening in really massive channels like CTV. You're seeing shoppable advertising in CTV. In social environments, influencers are more than just influencers, right? They are entertainment, they are engines of commerce. So the commerce conversation can almost feel a little buzzy unless you actually unpack it and realize how much is actually changing in the way that consumers behave. They have expectations of omnichannel experiences. They have a purchase life cycle that's really, really fluid. They are, getting used to being able to get whatever they want, wherever they want. And you have brands and retailers really adapting, to all of those changes to sort of drive modern commerce.
So what are the opportunities for brands, for clients in this sort of, is it the CPGs, or they're non-endemics? Like, where might that be going in terms of brand activation through these retail media networks versus maybe what they were doing in terms of just marketing dollars in store?
I mean, everyone cares about commerce, right? At the end of the day, businesses exist to drive business and drive business over time in a sustainable way. So when you think about, again, something like retail media networks, it's very clearly an opportunity for endemic brands like CPGs who have traditionally sold through the retailers and, therefore don't kind of own the full sales life cycle. So it gets them closer to the consumer, gets them a much clearer picture of the consumer from a data standpoint. It allows them to be able to influence at more points in the purchase journey, and it allows them to be able to think about creative decisions more intelligently and to be able to measure really the impact of their inventory. But it's becoming kind of bigger even than something called retail media, right? You see kind of commerce-enabled advertising taking a lot of forms. I talked about shoppable advertising, but you also have new verticals getting involved. You have financial institutions, you have travel companies, you have mobility companies like Uber. So I think everyone appreciates that the opportunity is really, really big and that there's a lot more dimensionality than just, it's CPGs and retail media networks. I mean, you also have things happening, on cars and in cars. You have things happening in store, like, again, bringing these commerce moments to people wherever they are.
And Joanna, another big conversation is AI and what that means in terms of the efficiency of the advertising ecosystem, and also what it means to contextual advertising, what it means to dynamic optimized creative.
Yep.
What's exciting to you, or what do you think is really important in terms of AI in our industry?
The AI conversation is interesting because it is something that's been present in advertising for more than a decade, easily, right? Like, there are applications of AI that have been used in planning and activation and measurement and creative assembly and optimization for a long time. Like, that part's not new. What is new is that, number one, all of those things, those use cases are becoming significantly more sophisticated as the AI gets better. And then, of course, what's new is generative AI, right? Which is something that is now influencing everything from how consumers perform searches to how brands think about content development to how giant organizations like Google think about kind of future ad models, right? So it's enormously disruptive, huge opportunity, but really, really important to be kind of thoughtful. And I think every brand sort of needs to think through, what does this mean for me? Who am I as a brand? What is my ethos? How do I think about using these tools effectively? And thoughtfully. And when I think about the opportunity, I think there's the efficiency, opportunity for sure that you talked about, making your employees better, smarter, faster, getting tasks done better, smarter, faster, the creative process, the media process, just better, smarter, faster. There's also effectiveness, right? Like, how can we actually make these machines help us make better decisions that improve performance kind of iteratively over time? And then there's this whole dimension of innovation around what AI can do that I don't think we've even really wrapped our heads around yet, like, not even close. So much opportunity to innovate how we interact with consumers, how we make business decisions, how we run our companies. I mean, there's 1,000 vectors where AI is going to have an impact.
privacy is sort of the 800-pound gorilla, or
Yeah.
it's something that, I don't know, in your opinion, if our industry is taking it seriously or not taking it seriously, or where things are going, where are we headed?
So it's interesting because the cookie conversation has dominated, right? It started in January 2020 with Chrome's announcement that it was deprecating third-party cookies. We've seen a lot of fits and starts since then. We're now at a place where they've deprecated 1%. We anticipate they will continue to full deprecation. And what's happening is the industry just continues to focus on the cookie conversation. And I get it, that's important, it has material impact. But this is such a larger conversation around a more kind of consumer-centric, privacy-driven world for advertising. And it has, it's the regulatory environment, it's consumers themselves, how they think and behave when it comes to the data economy. It's the OSs and browsers, and it's the kind of walled garden phenomenon that's just proliferating, right? It's not becoming easier to buy across, it's becoming more complicated to buy and measure across media. So it really means we have to challenge some traditional paradigms, I think, as marketers around addressability. When do we need it? Why do we need it? How do we construct a holistic picture of our media in a world that's very fragmented by design, again, in a world where consumer privacy is at the fore? How do we think about the notion of personalization in the context of the consumer lens rather than sort of, I must personalize? So these are like kind of paradigm changes that I think are really important for brands to be thinking about right now, even as they're preparing for sort of more tactical things like how to operate in a world without cookies.